Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of the writing series where I introduce you to functional skills English. In this session you will be provided with a basic introduction to functional skills. You will be able to identify the importance of communicating effectively in functional skills English and recognize your own barriers to effective communication. Okay, so we know functional skills are those critical skills such as English, Maths, ICT, needed to function effectively in your everyday life as well as in the workplace. In this series, we'll be focusing solely on functional skills English. So to pass your functional skills English, you must achieve your reading, writing and speaking and listening. For your reading, you have to be able to comprehend what you're reading and to be able to compare different text types. For your writing, you must be able to write different text types and in different styles. And for your speaking and listening, you would have either a discussion and presentation or talks and presentations depending on what level you are studying. Reading, writing, speaking and listening are all forms of communication. Okay, so what does communication mean? Communication is the exchange of information between two or more people through speaking, writing or nonverbal cues. Unfortunately, sometimes what we really mean is often left unsaid when we communicate. What does this mean? This means that for communication to be effective, that what it is that's being communicated has to be received in exactly the same way as it was intended. There has to be no barriers. Now let's have a look at some of the simple barriers that could get in the way of you being able to communicate effectively in your reading, writing and speaking and listening. Okay, so what is the difference between the following sentences? Here's what we know. We know that all three contain the same words. We also know that they all end in full stop, making them a statement. But can you spot any other difference? Of course you can. So as you can see, the first sentence has no other punctuation other than the full stop at the end, leaving it open to interpretation. Woman without her man is nothing. It could be read any way the reader wishes to read it and interpret from it whatever they wish to interpret from it. The second sentence, woman is separated by comma. It is also separated by comma after without her man. And it reads, woman without her man is nothing. Does that change the meaning with the comma after woman and after without her man? Definitely it does. It means that a woman is nothing without her man. A woman needs her man, in other words. Now let's read the final sentence. Woman without her man is nothing. Here we can see that a colon separates woman from without her. Without her is separated from the rest of the sentence with a comma. This reads, woman without her man is nothing, therefore implying that a man needs a woman. In other words, man is nothing without a woman. So here, can you see the important role punctuation plays in your writing? This tells us that if you do not know the role punctuation play in sentences, you are more than likely to misuse them in your own writing. You are also more than likely to misinterpret them when you read. On the flip side of it, The person reading your writing, if you have misused punctuation, is likely to be confused and is open to misinterpreting what it is that you are trying to convey. The question you need to ask yourself is, in terms of your reading, writing and speaking and listening, let's focus specifically on your writing. Is the examiner likely to understand your response? Are you meaning the first statement when indeed you mean the second statement? But then you have written it in the way the third statement has been written, and therefore creating confusion not just for yourself but for the examiner. Okay, so now let's have a look at another example. Let's read this sentence. A tall woman, she wear pair of blue jeans. She come in. Here it is black air. She smiley, same time singing. So as you can see, this sentence is riddled with spelling, punctuation and grammatical errors. Let's have a look at another example, which is conveying exactly what this first writer is trying to convey. A tall woman wearing a pair of blue jeans is combing her long black hair. She's smiling and waving at the same time. Now, do you spot the difference? In the first example, communication has broken down. There are spelling, punctuation and grammatical errors creating a barrier. The examiner will then spend time trying to figure out what this writer is trying to communicate. We don't want that. So in you becoming aware of your limitations in terms of what it is that you need to work on, you are minimizing the possibility of an examiner trying to figure out what it is you're trying to say or marking you down or wrong altogether. Let's have a look at some other barriers that could get in the way of you communicating effectively through writing. So some of the things that could get in the way of writing is handwriting, language barrier, spelling, punctuation and grammatical errors, dyslexia, or learning or physical disability. Can you think of your own barriers with regards to writing? So with regards to reading, some of the barriers could be lack of grammatical and linguistic competence, language barriers, dyslexia or other learning difficulties, limited attention span or poor concentration. Can you think of any barriers specific to you that you believe could get in the way of you reading and understanding or comprehending text in the way that it was intended? Okay, and for speaking and listening, some of the barriers could be language, tone of voice, accent, environment, whether it's noisy, distance, technology could get in the way, differences in culture, religion, sex and sexuality, attitude, whether you're mistrusting, and social circle or status. Terminology and slang could also get in the way of communication being effective. So now that we have covered a number of possible barriers that could get in the way of you passing your functional skills English exams, I would like you to take a moment to reflect on your own barriers. What do you think might possibly affect your ability to pass your writing exam? What could possibly get in the way of you passing your reading exam and your speaking and listening exam? Remember, the main aim here is for you to pass your functional skills exams, and that means achieving all three elements. The only way you can start to work on and to remove your own identified barriers is to know your own barriers and limitations. You must also work with your teachers to work on any SMART targets that are set for you. For example, for you to develop your spelling, punctuation and grammar, and for you to work on any personal limitations. For example, do you use slang? Do you have an attitude that gets in the way of your learning? Does your handwriting need developing? You must review these targets regularly. These personal targets and the targets are set by your teacher. Some of the questions you can start asking yourself is, am I understanding the question I am reading? If not, why not? With regards to writing, am I writing clearly? Am I stating what I mean? Am I structuring my writing correctly? Am I using spelling, punctuation and grammar correctly? With regards to speaking and listening, am I speaking clearly and with the right tone, right attitude and body language, for example, eye contact? Am I listening closely to what others are saying? Am I respecting differences? Am I respecting turntable? So evidence suggests that body language accounts for 55% of the overall message when we're communicating. Our tone of voice accounts for 38%, and the words we use account for just 7% of what it is that we're communicating. So something very, very important to bear in mind, that our body language and tone of voice speak volumes. So that brings us to the end of our session. Would you say you are now familiar with the basics of Functional Skills English, the link between Functional Skills English and effective communication, and the basic steps for identifying and removing your own communication limitations? I hope so. Okay, so we have come to the end of this session. Remember, good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. The question is, which side of the bridge are you on? Until next time, take care. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.